Today we're going to be talking about cleaning your room, a concept made famous by Jordan Peterson, and why this seemingly simple concept is so important for overcoming depression. Hi everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how seemingly simple tasks can be so important and foundational in overcoming symptoms of depression. This concept has been popularized by Jordan Peterson, and I'll be talking about how and why it works. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about cleaning your room. Now, by way of background, if you're not aware, fellow Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson has risen to prominence over the past decade or so for some of his somewhat controversial political and social views. I'm not going to be getting into the details of his political views on those various topics, but rather I want to focus on one of the rules in his book, 12 Rules for Life. And the rule that I'm going to be talking about can be summarized as clean your room. Now, Jordan Peterson has spoken a lot about this idea of cleaning your room in the context of pushing back on millennials who have expressed desires to make massive political and economic changes in the world, but who do not have their own lives in order. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the broader political and social aspects of Jordan Peterson's teachings, but I do think it's an important concept for individuals who are suffering from depression. When a person is experiencing depression, it can be so easy to focus on all of the bigger picture things in their life, the things that are going wrong, relationships that aren't going well, things like unfulfilling careers, significant financial stresses, housing problems, dissatisfaction with personal health. And what often happens in depression is that the person begins to focus on all of these bigger life problems and sees no apparent solutions, which in turn fuels feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, and thereby makes the depression worse. So this becomes this self-fueling cycle of rumination about bigger life problems for which there are no immediate solutions, which then makes the person feel more down and depressed. And the more depressed and down a person feels, the less capable they feel they are at addressing any of these larger life problems. And so it becomes really easy to just give up as it feels there's no solution and no way out. Now, when I'm working with my clients who are experiencing depression, one of the first things I get them to do is to write out a list of all of the problems and things that they want to change in their life. I get them to think about problems in various areas such as family, friends, work, school life, lifestyle, finances, or any other aspects of their life. I encourage them to spend some time on this exercise, thinking through all of the various areas and identifying as many problems as they can, using as much paper as necessary. You may be wondering, this seems like a bit of an odd exercise, as you would think that writing down all of the problems in a person's life would only serve to make that person feel more depressed. But what I've actually found is that the exercise can be therapeutic in a couple of ways. The first is that it can help a person really identify and focus on the specific aspects of their life that are not going well, and specific problems or issues that need to be addressed. And the second benefit is that when a person's experiencing depression, it can often feel like their problems are infinite. They go on forever. However, by working on the problem list, what my clients find is that eventually they run out of problems to write down. So even though they may feel like their problems go on forever, this isn't the case. And at some point, there are no more problems to write down. So what does this have to do with Jordan Peterson's concept of cleaning your room? Well, the idea is, once my clients have their list of problems and things that they need to change in their life, we begin to look at, okay, where do we start? Where do we start making change? And for me, I always encourage my clients to start with the low-hanging fruit. The problems that are seemingly the simplest and easiest to change. This can be things as simple as cleaning your room, getting out of bed before 9 a.m., brushing your teeth every day, combing your hair, making sure that you're getting dressed every morning, washing the dishes in the sink, those types of things. But what you might be wondering is, how can these small, seemingly insignificant activities do anything to actually address depression or change some of the real and significant problems that might be driving a person's depression? Well, the key is that all of these types of seemingly simple, small, insignificant activities are actually not so insignificant. Rather, these are foundational activities on which everything else you do is based. So, for example, if I'm unhappy with my relationships, I'm not going to be able to do anything to improve my friendships if I always decline invites to go out with friends because I haven't gotten out of bed all day, haven't showered, and haven't gotten dressed. The point is, doing these basic foundational activities like cleaning your room, showering, brushing your teeth, getting dressed, paying bills, washing dishes, if you're not doing these things, then it's going to be impossible to tackle any of the other bigger problems in life. It's impossible to make changes in any of those other larger areas of life that you might want to improve. You see, the thing is, by focusing on these small, seemingly insignificant tasks, you set yourself up to be able to take on those larger, more challenging issues in life. I've talked in previous videos about how depression is fueled by heightened expectations and failure to meet those expectations. I've talked about why it's so important to give up on those bigger goals and heightened expectations as the first step in overcoming depression. By starting out and focusing on these smaller goals, these smaller issues, what you're doing is increasing the likelihood that you're going to be successful at the goals that you're setting for yourself. So while that may mean that all you're doing is brushing your teeth every day, well, at least you're brushing your teeth every day instead of not brushing your teeth every day. By cleaning your room, you're able to accomplish the task of organizing your living space and feeling like you're not living in chaos. These are all starting point goals, but foundational goals that are necessary to address any of the larger goals that you might have in your life. Now, the other important aspect of this is that sometimes people don't know what their larger goals in life are. A person may not know what they want to do for their career, whether they should continue in this challenging relationship that they're in, where they should live, who they should marry, those types of things. It can be impossible to know what the answer is to those questions. But when I'm working with my clients with depression, there are some things that they do know that they want. They want to be in healthier shape. They want to see their friends more often. They want to be taking care of their personal hygiene and appearance on a daily basis. They want to wash the dishes that are piled up in the sink. These are all things that it's readily apparent that these are all things that the person wants to accomplish. So those are the places we start. And that's where we begin with goal setting. And that's why something as simple as cleaning your room is so important. Years ago, I was working with a client who was so severely depressed that the only goal she could come up with for the week was to wipe down her kitchen table one time. And so that was what she could do. We set that as a goal, and she was able to accomplish it. And although it seemed like no big deal, such a small thing to accomplish, such an insignificant task, it was incredibly important for her, as she saw it as something that she had succeeded in doing, as it had felt like she was constantly failing at everything in her life. This was something that she actually did right, she actually accomplished. And from that small, humble, seemingly insignificant goal, she was able to build off of it and set more small, humble goals. And eventually, as she built success upon success with these seemingly small, insignificant goals, her mood began to improve. And she started seeing other things in her life that she wanted to accomplish and address. And she started setting seemingly more important goals, which she was able to accomplish and which made her feel even better. And that's how she overcame her depression. So the thing is, setting seemingly small goals like cleaning your room isn't in and of itself going to be the antidote for depression. But it is critical to help you get unstuck and to start the process of overcoming and recovering from depression. So while this concept of clean your room as presented by Jordan Peterson is now tied in with all sorts of social and political implications, if we just focus on it from the perspective of psychology, it's absolutely right. So I hope all of that makes sense. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas about this, so please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.